Now, most martial arts sequels are a victory lap, and this one is a coronation. It gave us a duel so good that 30 years later people still argue it's the finest hand-to-hand combat fight in Hong Kong history. And behind the scenes, well, it sits right on the fault line of a story that ends in a triad assassination and a feud that tore its own star away from the series. This is Once Upon a Time in China 2. Buckle up everyone, and let's set the table. In 1991, director Tsui Hark, well, the closest thing Hong Kong cinema has to a mad genius architect, relaunched one of China's most beloved folk heroes, Wong Fei-hung, the real-life martial artist, healer, and Hung Gar master who's been played on screen more than 100 times. Think of Wong Fei-hung as China's Robin Hood, a legend everyone knows, reinvented for a new generation. And Choi's gamble was a young wushu champion named Jet Li. In the first film, well, that made him a superstar. So a sequel was inevitable. But here's where the behind-the-scenes drama starts ticking like a clock. Jet Li had signed a contract to deliver a set number of films, and when the first Once Upon a Time in China ran long in production, the sequels got fast-tracked. Parts 2 and 3 shot almost back-to-back to satisfy the deal. And hold on to that pressure cooker setup, because it pays off in the saddest possible way later. So Choi brought back his secret weapon for the action, Yuen Wu-ping, the choreographer who'd go on to design the fights for The Matrix and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And then he made the masterstroke. He handed Jet Li a worthy opponent, a rising martial artist named Donnie Yen, cast as the villainous Qing commander. What could possibly go wrong, right? Well, we're in Canton in 1895. And China is a nation pulled in 3 directions at once. And that tension is the plot. Wong Fei-hung, played again by Jet Li, travels to a Western medical convention with his perpetual will they, won't they companion, 13th Aunt Rosamund Kwan. All parasols and barely suppressed longing, and his bumbling student Fun. Note to the recast, Max Mock takes over the sidekick role from Yuan Biao, and to be honest, he slots in more naturally than the part had any right to expect, really, to be honest. And then threat number 1, the White Lotus sect, a fanatical cult convinced that anything foreign is poison on China, burning Western books and butchering anyone who's touched Western ways, including children. So Wong, a man who bridges old and new, is exactly the kind of target that they despise. Threat number 2, the state itself. Wong befriends a mild-mannered doctor named Sun Yat-sen, and here's the historical wink that gives the film its weight. This is the Sun Yat-sen, the man history remembers as the father of modern China. Here, a hunted revolutionary plotting to topple the Qing dynasty. Standing against him is the imperial enforcer Commander Lan, played by Donnie Yen, a man of genuine honour serving a rotten cause. And that's the brilliant knot at the film's centre. The villain isn't evil, he's loyal to the wrong thing. And can you blame a soldier for following orders? So the plot braids these threads with real momentum. Wong dismantles the White Lotus and their charlatan god king in a temple of fire and trickery. He shields Sun and his fellow revolutionary as the Qing forces close in. And it all converges on the duel everyone came for. Wong Fei-hung versus Commander Lan in a confined space, armed with nothing but a length of bamboo and, in its most famous passage, lengths of cloth snapping and whipping like living things, is breathtaking. Lan fights with everything he has and falls with dignity. Wong gets Sun to safety, the revolution lives to fight another day, and history rolls on towards a republic that the film knows, even if the characters don't, is still years away. So here's my honest take. And you know the pivot is coming. Every rose has its thorns. And Once Upon a Time in China 2 is, for my money, the high point of the entire series. And one of the greatest martial arts films, full stop. But let's be fair about the drawbacks. The plot is really busy. 3 storylines, cult, revolution, and romance, they jostle for room, and the middle stretch sags a little under the weight of all of that table setting. So if you haven't seen the first film, some of the emotional shorthand between Wong and 13th Aunt won't fully land for you. And the politics, while genuinely affecting here, are painted in broad nationalist strokes. So this is a film with a flag firmly planted, and your mileage on the sentiment may vary. But none of that dents the greatness. Because when this film moves, it is sublime. Yuan Wu-ping's choreography won Best Action Design at the Hong Kong Film Awards, and that final duel between Li and Yen is rightly enshrined as one of the best fights ever filmed. A clash of philosophies as much as fists. Li's liquid grace against Yen's coiled power. And here's a piece of real-world drama that makes it crackle even harder. Rumours have long circulated of genuine professional rivalry between Jet Li and Donnie Yen on that set. True or not, you can feel something real in the ferocity. The film almost did exactly what Tsui Hark designed it to do. It took Donnie Yen, a capable up-and-comer, and turned him into a star. The man would spend the next 30 years becoming It Man, and this is the launch pad. And now the heartbreak I promised you, the real-world story that haunts this golden run. Remember that contract pressure in 1992? Well, Jet Li's manager, a man named Jim Choi, was gunned down in his office, an assassination wildly attributed to the triads, who had their hooks in the film industry. The fallout was seismic. Amid dispute over fees and the brutal back-to-back schedule, Jet Li walked away from Tsui Hark's flagship series, which is why a different actor, Vincent Zhao, would step into Wong Fei-hung's shoes for the next 2 installments. The greatest screen partnership of the early 90s Hong Kong action was, in a sense, a casualty of the very underworld that funded the industry. The doves of the killer were make-believe, the violence was not. So, let's give it a rate and go through our 4 categories once again. So, action and choreography, flawless Intercept. The cloth pole duel alone earns it. Yuan Wu-ping operating at the absolute peak of his powers. Story and characters? Well, let's give it a knockdown. It's ambitious, it's layered and genuinely moving. The honourable villain angle is superb, and it held just short of the top by a busy, occasionally saggy middle part of the movie. Star power and performance? Flawless Intercept. Jet Li in his prime and the birth of Donnie Yen as a leading man, 2 icons in one frame. Legacy and rewatchability? Again, flawless Intercept. Top rating, wildly called the best of the series, and a benchmark the whole genre measures itself against. So the overall verdict? Well, it's a flawless Intercept. And the busy plot, well, it keeps the story score honest at a knockdown, so this isn't a strict average, but a holistic verdict asks what a film achieves, and what this achieves is the rare thing. A sequel that surpasses a classic, anchored by a duel that still the argument ender 3 decades on. It lands clean. So, what did you think of the second installment of the Once Upon a Time in China series? Was it flawless Intercept for you? Let me know. Cheers, and here's to the next one.